At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. Now, this is what we are faced with, and this is a reality. Now, when we come to Washington in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
Hi YouTube, welcome to the Anti-Racism Academy. I'm your host, Brandy Blocker Anderson, and I'm a triple Ivy League educated lawyer, teacher, activist, DEI consultant, and the mother of an adorable 3-year-old named William. Today, we're going to listen to and unpack one of Dr. King's lesser-known speeches in which he discusses the role of white privilege in shaping the American economy. But before we dissect Dr. King's thoughts on white privilege, let's start by defining what it is. White privilege refers to the advantages white people receive based on their race. Put another way, white privilege is a byproduct of racism. While Black, Indigenous, and other people of color face disadvantages because of their race, white people do not face disadvantage because of their race. The following clip is a speech Dr. King gave in 1968, not long before his assassination, to a group of poor Black people in the rural South, as a part of his effort to galvanize support for his Poor People's Campaign, aka the Poor People's March on Washington, which represented a shift in demands from civil rights to human rights for people of all races. Among the demands were universal employment, guaranteed income, and more low-income housing. As you watch this clip, listen to what Dr. King says about how the American government gave white people advantages in attaining the American dream. Comment below. Have you ever seen this footage?
At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land.
After the assassination of President Abraham Lincoln, the United States government broke its promise to provide recently freed Blacks with the land for their own farms. You may have heard of Special Order Field Number 15, aka the 40 acres and a mule order that was supposed to redistribute farmland from treasonous Confederate plantation owners to Black people as reparations for slavery. But Andrew Johnson shut that down when he took office less than 1 year after the order was issued.
Through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor.
Enacted in 1862, during the Civil War, the Homestead Act provided that any adult citizen, or intended citizen, who had never borne arms against the U.S. government could claim 160 acres of surveyed government land. Between 1868 and 1934, the U.S. government granted 246 million acres of Western land to well over 1.5 million white families for virtually free. Though some Black families received land, almost all of the land grants went to whites.
But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm.
These acts were known as the Morrill Land Grant Acts. The first was enacted during the Civil War in 1862, and the second in 1890. Which expanded this model of stealing indigenous land out west to provide for white people and institutions.
Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming.
The Hatch Act of 1887 established a system of agricultural experiment stations in conjunction with each state's land-grant university. And later, the Smith-Lever Act of 1914 created a system of cooperative extensions to be operated by the universities to teach white farmers about developments in agriculture.
Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farm.
In 1916, Congress passed the Federal Farm Loan Act, which created 12 federal land banks in the farm credit system to provide white farmers and ranchers with long-term loans and low interest rates.
Not only that, today many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm.
Starting in the 1920s, the U.S. government passed a number of laws which provided subsidies in the form of cash payments and price controls. These laws were intended to benefit white people only, while denying these same rights to black and other people of color.
And they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps.
Now, some of you may be saying, but he didn't say the words white privilege. That's true, but if you listen closely, he explains the many ways in which white privilege has been built into our laws. Many white folks will argue, my ancestors weren't in this country or never owned slaves, but they fail to acknowledge that they benefit from these legacies of oppression.
This is what we are faced with.
Dr. King closes with letting the audience know,
Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
meaning the Poor People's Campaign was going to urge the American government to afford all poor people the same benefits it gave to whites who benefited from the land-grant acts and other laws I've covered in this video. Tragically, Dr. King was never able to realize this vision. People are so unaware of these histories, so they deny the existence of white privilege and whitewash Dr. King's legacy. You can be a part of the solution by liking this video and sharing it with your circles. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe to this channel and power to the people, fist bump the notification bell so you can stay up to date on our videos. This has been the Anti-Racism Academy, and I've been your host, Brandy Blocker Anderson. Thank you so much for watching.